Hi, I'm John.
This is Nick.
And I'm Andrew, and welcome everybody to episode number 14 of JNA Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be doing a general review of the previous episodes that we've done. Before we dive into our review, I do have kind of like an off-the-rails subject I wanted to bring up to John and Nick. Just in case for future reference, anybody ever comes up on this episode later on down the road, today is July 25th. So, like, what I'm about to bring up could be changing here in the next week or two. But the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and multiple other sources have reported that the Pentagon is about to come out and state that they have off-world crashed vehicles, and it didn't seem like anybody's even fucking blinking at this, and like it's blowing my mind. Like I've spent, like, if anybody's been listening to this, I've spent multiple episodes trying to convert both of these guys into this UFOlogy. But like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have seen that or anything like that, but the shit blows my mind.
First of all, let me say this. You're not converting me because I have said on multiple episodes, I believe in all that shit. Okay, so you're not converting me to anything. Second of all, and I just assume, and this is just my opinion on it, I would say, I would assume the reason why people aren't making it a big deal is because the people that have believed this for years, it's really not new news to them. They've already, seen conspiracy theories about it, and whether they had sightings themselves or read about it or whatnot. I mean, it's just almost like old news. It's not really surprising that they finally come out with it because eventually they would have anyway. So I would assume that would be the reason, along with the pandemic going on. So,
as the skeptic, all I can say is, okay, they said they're going to show us. Once they do actually show us, great, sure. And I'm of a similar mind to Nick that the reason, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of buzz going on about it is strictly that's it because tensions are higher than ever here in America. That's it. We've got the pandemic going on. The political situation is degrading by the day. So it's just sort of like, oh, the Pentagon says, hey, there might be aliens. And everybody's like, listen, dude, we got bigger shit to deal with right now.
I don't even know if there's really any bigger thing than that, dude. That's the most revolutionary find in human history. Like, if they've come out and they like say they gave us UFOs, a crashed alien, whatever, off-world fucking vehicles, whatever you want to call them. Say if they come out and they actually give us physical evidence of that, that's like it right there, irrefutable proof that we're not alone in the universe. You know what I mean? Like that's astounding to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've digged into this shit my entire life, but there's nothing that could happen in this world right now that's going to divert my attention from it.
Well, let me ask
literally,
you.
What's that, Nick?
I'm sorry. I said, let me ask you this. Knowing or even seeing it, would that make you any more of a believer than you already were?
No, because I've already 100% believed in this stuff. Like obviously I brought forth all the evidence I possibly could so far on this podcast. And let's be honest, like I was planning to do like part 2s to those episodes, anyways. You know what I mean? Once it came my turn around and pick the topics. But at the same time, it's not like making me more of a believer. It's more like, ha, in your face, bitch, I was right.
John, that's directed right at you.
More or less. Let's face it, I know who the intended target of that whole little spiel was.
That's funny.
I just thought that was something interesting to bring up before we started doing like the in review episode. Like I said, today is the 25th, so like this could change like any given day now. So like maybe it was something we'll come back to.
Well, I know as soon as they release that stuff, that's going to be your topic. Like me and Nick might just have to get the fuck out of the way because you're gonna be so goddamn geeked for it.
Like
it's technically my turn to pick, but you know what, Andrew? I realize you need this, so you know what? I'll do mine next week.
The episode would start off like, "Hi, I'm John. This is Nick." Okay, that's enough of hearing from them, anyways.
More or less.
It's definitely interesting, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing it myself. I really am. It's mind-boggling to say the truth.
Right.
And I'll just go ahead and put this out there: if they do, end up releasing that stuff, Andrew, I will tell you, you were right.
You say it loud and proud, John. Don't be afraid.
I was silent because I was savoring that moment.
That's funny.
And
All
we'll
right,
get
so
that on recording. I'm going to get that in signing, and we'll put it on a fucking plaque. I'm going to put it right above my computer to remind me every single time we do this podcast.
Dude, I will write it out in nice, beautiful calligraphy and mail it to you.
In Old English
Yeah.
text.
Oh
this
yeah,
guy
I
said
can do that.
beautiful calligraphy.
It
It's
is
funny.
a hobby of mine. Speaking of hobbies, video games. We discussed a number of them, but you guys picked up anything new? Picked up anything interesting, or gone back and played some of the games we talked about then?
Nick?
I
Nick?
have not played any of the games that we discussed during the podcast, and I'm kind of looking at the list right now myself. I haven't actually picked them up, no, but I have been playing different games recently. The one I'm on now is Wildlands Ghost Recon by Tom Clancy. Pretty good game. I like it. Pretty long. Not a hard game by any means, but it's pretty cool. And I spent some time on it, and I'm almost done beating it, and I'm going to move on. I will get to Andrew's list. I've played every one except for two of them, Skyrim and Horizon Zero Dawn, which I don't think I'll get into. So I'm pretty knowledgeable about his video games. It's your video games I never even heard of except for Pokemon and Super Mario. So I'll have to look them up. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I've been recently playing a Dark Souls clone called Remnant of the Ashes. I've actually been playing with Nick on and off the last couple of weeks, man. It's a fun ass game. It really is. It's one of those games for some reason when it's boring to play by yourself, but when you're playing with a couple friends, it gets like really addicting really fast.
Well, everything's
mean?
always more fun with friends.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's a fun Dark Souls clone, you know what I mean? It's shooter Souls basically. Dodge, shoot, rinse and repeat. It's fun as hell though, man. It's definitely a unique game. You know what I mean? Like it's original, like beyond like the dodge concept of it from Dark Souls, but it's really fun.
I like it too. It's fun to play with somebody else as well. Kind of going through the story mode and the dungeons and all that. It's definitely a fun game, and I would recommend it to any listener that wants to kind of pick it up. It's definitely a pretty fun game.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap too, man. I mean, I think it's like for $45 for like the complete edition on Steam right now. I mean, that's not all things considered. Usually, you have to pay like $75 to $100 for a complete edition once the game come out. So, all things considered, it's really not that expensive.
Coincidentally, I just bought it so that way I could play it with these guys on PC. We've all played the game on PS4 before, but this weekend. It's presently on sale on Steam for like $23. I think it's $32 for the complete edition.
Nice.
Oh, that's fantastic. A weekend after me and Nick play full price.
Exactly. John, to ask you, John, one of the games that I mentioned on my list when we had that episode, I think I know the answer because I know you've been busy with personal things. But have you tried the new God of War out?
No.
Okay. Pick it up, bro. Pick it up.
That just got thrown right back in Nick's face. He's like, "Oh, okay."
Womp womp. Sorry.
I knew the answer to it, honestly, because I know you've been, doing a lot of personal things, work and, personal things on the side. So I just wanted to see if you just thought about picking up.
I don't know, Nick. It sounded like you had a glimmer of hope.
I did, honestly. I did.
And once again, I come to squash everything.
It's funny.
What have you been playing, John?
Presently, I've been playing Friday the 13th with a friend of mine. Girlfriend. Yeah, mostly that.
It's Friday
Huh?
Friday the 13th, where you basically just run around and like Jason's trying to kill you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like that is the game. Long story short, you run around and try to escape, and Jason tries to kill you.
Is Jason like an NPC or is Jason a person?
Jason is actually a player. I guess just kind of give you guys a general overview of the game. It's an 8-person lobby. 1 person controls Jason. 7 other people control counselors, which are just the people who ended up dying in the movies, more or less.
Okay.
And your goal as the counselor is to somehow escape the map, which is either find or fix or repair a car and drive it to an exit, repair a boat and drive it to an exit, or call the police, which gives you a short timer, like you got to wait 5 minutes after you call the police, and then you can escape the map. Or if Jason doesn't manage to kill you in 20 minutes, then you can escape the map.
Oh, okay. So basically, it's about a 20-minute game with Jason trying to kill you.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds actually fun, actually.
And as Jason, you're basically invulnerable, but you can be stunned, you can be trapped. The game is actually fairly balanced between between how easy it is for Jason to kill people versus how it is to escape and stuff like that.
Right.
Honestly, it's not a bad setup, and I have been enjoying it regardless of the fact I've been playing with my girl.
That sounds like you've been losing a lot.
Yeah.
At least you're honest there.
Is this a PlayStation game or is this a PC game?
I believe it is on PlayStation, but we've been playing it on PC.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm
And
fairly certain it's on PlayStation.
And it
Cool.
it is cheap. I think it's I got it during the Steam sale, so I'd have to look what the actual price is, but it was only like $15, I think.
Oh, that ain't bad.
I never knew that they had a game Friday the 13th, honestly. I never even heard of that before. Interesting.
I think it was released last. I don't know the release date of it, but a buddy of mine, Esco, he runs a YouTube channel, and he used to do videos of games for Friday the 13th. Links in the
Nice.
description.
Nice.
It came out in 2017, by the way.
Oh, okay. So yeah, fairly recent.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's just like Dead by Daylight too. I think the game's just like that too. But it's also Dead by Daylight's got like multiple. It's got like Freddy Krueger on it, and it's got like the dude from Silent Hill and stuff like that.
I have played that, and there are fundamental differences between the games, which perhaps take a drink, future podcast topic maybe. But the games are definitely distinct, and I would say Friday is probably more fun, but Dead by Daylight is conceptually more interesting.
It looks like it kind of looks like a game that like adult version of Mario, like Mario Party.
You're not
You know what I
wrong.
mean? Play with some friends and stuff like that, having some drinks.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even know they come out. I had no clue they come out with any kind of games like that. I had no clue.
It's a fairly recent development. Like there have been asymmetrical multiplayer games that have come out. Probably like starting around 2010-ish. The idea of
Right.
one person plays a superpowered character versus other players that are playing regular characters. I want to say Evolve was kind of the first one that tried to do it, but the whole idea of asymmetrical multiplayer has come kind of far since then.
Yeah, they just came out with a new one with Predator, where one person plays as Predator and the other people play as basically like Arnold Schwarzenegger characters, where they're running around the jungle and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually heard that was pretty dope from a friend of mine at work.
Dude, where the fuck have I been with these games? Like, are you serious? Where the fuck have I been? How have I not heard about these games before? I grew up with Freddy Krueger, Jason, and all this other shit. Where the hell have I been?
Lord only knows.
You're
Nick.
a rock.
True that.
I follow like a lot of gaming pages, man. So basically, as soon as the game comes out, I'm already hearing about it. And if it's halfway decent, then it may mix it onto my social media somehow.
Yeah.
So
Andrew, I know you're on The Last of Us Part 2. How's that going?
Yeah, Yeah, I started playing it. It's pretty good. It's like it's weird how people on social media, like half the people on social media, are saying the game is garbage and like it's not as good as the first one. Like the game is exactly the same as the first one. Like I don't understand how if you like the first one, you don't like this one. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it's like that. This is basically the same exact game, but with better graphics and different story.
There is a critical argument to
I
be
think
made there.
guys, what's that?
A good sequel jumps off from the first game, a bad game wallows in it. And you're saying that's it. It's basically the exact same game with, some details tweaked. So I think maybe the expectation for the game to be more than just the first one, but again, is maybe what's dragging people's opinion of it down.
Well, what I meant by that was it's basically like it's got like the same leveling up system and everything like that, but at the same time, it's like more open world. You know what I mean? There is different content. It is like a upgraded version. You know what I mean? What I mean by it, it's basically the first one. It's like it's basically like if you like the first one, I don't understand how you can't like this one. I don't know. That's just my opinion, I guess. Like it is a more open world. Like the only thing I can really think about it, honestly, is I think guys just have their panties in the bunch because I have to play as a girl.
Nick.
That probably will bug them a little bit. I don't know. Like, it doesn't bother me really. I mean, I prefer to play as a male character just because I relate more. But at the same time, it's not gonna kill a game for me. That's just me. I really don't give a shit.
Cough, Nick. Unconvincing cough.
I was real slow.
Actually, The Last of Us almost made, the first one almost made my top 5 list, and it really possibly could have, but I just thought of others. But I've been waiting to try The Last of Us Part 2, and I will get to it, just don't know when, honestly. I'm too busy playing PC games right now.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we failed to mention that Nick has finally joined the PC Master Race.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, I like it.
Go ahead,
Andrew. I was going to say I like it. It's a little, getting used to. You definitely got to get used to, using a keyboard instead of a controller, and being a PlayStation, Nintendo, and basically a console gamer my entire life. It's a little bit of a weird transition. I like, shooting games, or I should say first or third person shooter games with the PC. It's pretty easy to kind of get the hang of, but other than that, it's just, a little bit of a weird transition, but I'm getting the hang of it.
Yeah, using the keyboard and mouse is definitely like it's better for shooters. For using the mouse, obviously, would be, but it's better for shooters. It's a lot easier. But like if I'm playing like Skyrim or something like that, it's hard as hell for me. For some reason, I gotta go right back to the controller. Like I don't know, the keyboard and like just like using WAD, moving around, pressing space, using your pinky to hit control and shift and like all that kinds of shit. I'm just not used to it. I've been used to having a controller in my hand the entire time. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a transition, but the more you use it, the easier like it becomes. You know what I mean? Like, it pick it up a lot faster than you think you would.
It is a skill, and let's face it, if you know how to type and you know how to click on things, you've already got a heads up on using a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. If you know how to click on things, I like how you put it there.
I'm just saying, point and click is a pretty. You have to do that just to basically interact with the computer nowadays.
Yeah.
So just instead of clicking on Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever you use, it's just a Nazi's head.
Yeah, there's some games like I don't even imagine why you would want to use a controller for. Like when I played Divinity Original Sin 2, like I couldn't imagine playing that game with a controller. That would drive me nuts.
Oh god.
So many arrows, man. Like you're down in the PC, just point and click, It's a lot easier. I guess that kind of dives into our technology review right there. Talking about the computers and how far it's come. Like that's one thing about the PC, man. And it's like the graphics are just like amazing, man. I've heard for years PC Master Race bitch about like how they got 60 frames per second and true 4K and all that shit. And I hate to admit that they're right because it looks beautiful. Even Remnant, man, when me and Nick are playing Remnant's not really known for being a graphical game, but it looks so much better on the PC than it does on the console.
That it does.
Right.
It's amazing what they do with the resolutions and technology in general. It's just amazing what it can really do.
Yeah, right. It doesn't. At the same time, it doesn't feel clunky either. You know what I mean? Like it feels like it runs smoother. Like when the
Yeah.
guys are running and like they're rolling and everything like that. Yeah, it feels a lot smoother.
Increased
It
hardware
helps when you use
power.
the keyboard. Yeah, exactly. I guess that kind of helps when you're working out with the fucking keyboard and everything. So
Mm,
I know, John, you've been playing the PC like your entire life, so you're probably listening to all this like you fucking noobs.
a little bit. You're sitting there like, oh, still trying to get used to a mouse, but it's much easier and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of sitting here like, isn't this adorable? You guys are so cute.
I think of that meme with fucking Mr. Skinner from The Simpsons, and he's like standing over Bart, and he's like pathetic.
That's funny.
I'm just kind of sitting here like, to be young again.
Yeah. Was there anything that anything you guys feel like we kind of missed out on our technology episode at all?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot that we missed out in. Nothing that comes to mind to me right now. I honestly haven't listened to the episode, which is kind of boohoo for me. I know, so I really can't. I really don't remember everything that was talked about, and I'll take a listen and I can revisit that question at a later time. But I'm sure there's many things in regards to technology that we did not cover. I'm sure there is, but to kind of pinpoint one now, honestly, I don't know.
Well, let me rephrase that then. Is there something that you wish we'd have dived into a little bit more?
Yeah, to answer that question, I guess you could say that because I would like to kind of go over the pros and the cons of it, such as what rewards or what consequences will arise with the ongoing technology, especially when it comes to jobs and just the way of living and as such. I mean, just many different things. I would just like to. I wish we would have dove into a little bit of the pros and cons. That's about it. What about you, John?
There was one thing that I kind of wanted to bring up. Like we did mostly pros and cons and stuff like that, but I guess something worth kind of talking about. Like I know this is a little bit more broadly common knowledge, but it's just kind of one thing that I wanted to mention. Um, and that is the effects of technology on sleep.
That's
Uh,
pretty interesting.
like I don't know if you guys know this or if any of the or I'm sure some of the listeners know this, but like looking at screens and stuff like that, it's actually kind of starting to or it's having a lasting effect on circadian rhythms and stuff like that, when we go to bed, so on and so forth. Um, Specifically because of blue light. We see it and we think, oh, it's, or our brains go, oh, it's the middle of the day. We don't have to worry about shutting down now. And there is just kind of, consider this, I guess, a little bit more of a PSA. But most computers and most cell phones and stuff like that, they have an option called night mode, and what it does is it switches everything over to warmer colors. That's not as bright, so so that way it's not as hard to go to sleep after staring at a computer or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff. They say that even you should go like if you want to reset your biological clock to go camping for like a weekend or a week or whatever without any technology, and
Hmm.
then get it reversed back to like during the day that you're awake and during the night. I know I'm a guilty of it more than anybody. I'm such a night owl, man. I've always been like that, and it sucks because I have to work at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bitch, but. Yeah, that's a pretty good. I like both of those things that you guys brought up. I think both of them are very interesting, especially like I think kind of that they tie into each other a little bit because Nick's talking about like the pros and cons of it, and
Mm.
John, that sounds like it would be a con of technology. So that's pretty
Definitely.
cool.
It's like there are ways around it, and like here's a true nerd tip. Um, if you need to, like run up the clock, you need to work on something right before you go to bed, wear sunglasses because that's it. It just darkens everything. It doesn't allow as much blue light to pass through, so it's much easier to get to sleep. Sometimes That's it. If I'm working on something and it's just sort of like, okay, I need to go to bed for like 2 hour or the 2 hours before I actually go to sleep, I'll put on my sunglasses, and it definitely makes it easier to get to bed.
I got a life hack for you to help you go to sleep.
Hmm.
Smoke weed.
I would love to, but I'm also a commercial driver, so.
Oh shit, we about to get him in trouble. And he lives in the state of all three of us, the only one that is legal.
Right? That's funny. How ironic is that?
That's
Wah,
hilarious.
wah, wah. Mhm.
Is there anything that you can think of that you wish we would have kind of discussed or went in detail about?
Aliens. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I kind of want to, like, we did talk about it, but I just wished we'd have got more into where the technology is like going and where it came, where you came from. Like, I don't know, like, I know it's talked about a lot, but just how far we've come in technology, just in our generation. Like I said, I know we already talked about it on the episode. I just wish we'd have talked about it a little bit more. It mind blows me, dude, when I sit and I actually think about it, to how far technology is coming just in my lifetime and where it could be going in like one more lifetime. That to me, it blows my mind.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that you're gonna go convince like 15-year-old me that we got all the stuff that we already have and all the stuff that's like right around the corner of us having. Like, there's no way I'd believe that. You know what I mean? Like that. It's kind of like I remember back in like the 80s and stuff like that. People thought by the time we reached 2000s, we'd have like flying cars and shit like that. Well,
Mm.
all the kids in like 2000s, we didn't think we were gonna have flying cars. Like, we thought that was just a bullshit pipe dream, and like we just basically thought we'd be playing fucking PlayStation 2 the rest of our lives. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and now it seems like we're the ones could be had like flying cars are right around the corner kind of thing, man. It
Mm.
blows my mind, especially with like Elon Musk, the Neuralink. I know we already talked about that, but that Neuralink, man, when I hear him talk about it, it's just like it's like that's like a part. Half of me is like that's the coolest shit I've ever heard, and the other half of me is like, what the fuck is happening here?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It
Uh,
still
oh, go
mind
ahead.
boggles me about that Neuralink thing, man. I did a little bit of research on it. And I do mean a little bit, by the way, just to kind of poke at it a little bit. And it's scary, the things that Elon Musk said it can really do once it's fully functional. It's pretty scary, man.
Yeah. You're just basically going to be able to work your phone without even talking, or just basically you're thinking. You get to, like, hypothetically, just anything that technology in your house. Say if you have like a smart house, you can work everything in your house without talking or anything, just thinking. You know what I mean? Like, you just walk up to your house, open up the door and close it without thinking. Put on the fireplace, turn on the TV, turn on your computer, surf the internet. Like, Jesus, dude, that's crazy. And basically, one of the chilling facts that he said is that you're basically going to be able to talk and share information without, talk, blah blah blah. You're basically going to be
Communicate.
able to, yeah, you're basically going to be able to share information without talking. That's the one that blows me away the most.
Mm.
That's insanity. Like, that's like you're basically he's going to make like basically like, what do you call it, a universal language, pretty much. We're just basically going to be able to sit there and share information. Like, how does that even work out? Like, are you going to see the information in English? Like, you know what I mean? How the world that even going to work?
Well,
Uh,
let me ask you this, guys. Let me ask you this, and sorry to interrupt you, John.
no, you're good.
Would you guys think that there would be any kind of corruption or attempt to control people with this Neuralink? I
Fuck
would say
yes.
yes. Yeah, I would say yes. I agree.
Yeah. The second what John said, fuck yes.
Like,
Without a doubt, dude. That's a Black Mirror episode.
uh, uh, on that subject, I would like to point out that we already have some kind, a manner of media covering this, and I don't know anything about Black Mirror, but I will reference Ghost in the Shell, which basically it's like it's 20 fucking something. Most of the human population is either a cyborg or has light cyberization. Like, they have basically a Neuralink thing that's commonplace. And one of the big issues, or it's slightly a part of the 1997 movie. It's brought up a lot more in the actual manga series itself, and I believe it's the central focus of an arc in Standalone Complex. I haven't kept up with Ghost in the Shell beyond those forms, but a big thing is that people getting, their brains basically hacked, and then fucking that's it. Just being, made to do things against their will, like commit murders, thefts, so on and so forth. Uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, like that's honestly kind of the one thing that
If you guys
scares
have
me.
never,
Hmm?
go ahead.
Oh, that's kind of the one thing that scares me specifically about, the whole Neuralink thing is that the minute you start giving people a way to control the brain of another person, because that's it, this Neuralink is going to be interacting with the brain of whoever it's in, you basically make hacking people a reality.
Yeah, that's creepy.
And there's something I did want to follow up with, Andrew. You were wondering, okay, how's that information going to be actually conveyed?
Uh-huh.
And there's a couple of ways that it could be done depending on how the whole Neuralink thing wants to be done. And the first is that, like, okay, we would eliminate speech, but not necessarily, like words or written communication. It would be kind of like sending texts, but with your brain,
Mm.
where, okay, let's say I send you a text saying, "Hey, get your ass on for the podcast." You would just, see something pop up in your vision that says, "John, hey, get your ass on or for the podcast."
Well,
Or hmm,
does it like close my eyes and I see it, or like I waited something in my imagination, or is it like actually popping up like a screen in my vision?
Uh, depends on how they want to do it. Like, if they're going to connect it to the retina and the ocular nerves, then it would be kind of like you would just see it like floating up in the left corner of your eye or wherever the fuck they
Yeah.
put it.
Yeah.
Um, Now the second and much scarier version of that is, instead of me sending you, basically a text message with my brain that you read in some fashion. Basically, it would be the appropriate parts of your brain are stimulated, so that way you just have the thought of, hey, John wants me to get on to do the fucking podcast. So, like, like that's the scariest part, because if they're just stimulating individual thoughts and nerves, that means they can create thoughts, or memories, stuff like that, and it's just that's fucking frightening. That's the brain hacking
Yeah.
thing I'm talking about.
That's like Total Recall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and we all see how that worked out for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hmm.
Motherfucker went insane. uh, I don't know if you guys have ever watched, but Black Mirror, Black Mirror is awesome, man, because I think they portray a lot of where the technology is going in so many right ways. They've done like a social media episode where people are like trying to like just constantly get like approved by other people, which has become so much of a reality. But they also had one where I don't want to say it's a Neuralink, but it's basically like people can like replay back memories as if like it's a movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like how we were saying, like you basically like you open your eyes as you see a screen in the upper left hand corner, and they had that like as an episode. And a lot of it and what they did in that episode, I thought it was spot on. Just how people would be if they had that. It's just like the guy became like obsessed of overthinking about little things and like rewinding it and rewatching it all the time. I just think that'd be something of reality because people like to sit there and like be obsessed about the past all the time.
Yeah.
That's actually the plot of a video game called Remember Me, in which you fuck with people's memories like that, in order to, or basically memories get sold. So, or you trade, like pleasant memories or good memories or so on and so forth. Um, and one of the mechanics of the game is altering certain NPCs' memories to put them on your side.
Mm. Huh. I never heard of that game.
Yeah, it didn't get a lot of buzz, and I guess to give a little mini review of it, the game tried to do too much. Like the whole memory editing thing, that was cool, but they also had to try and have this like strange custom combo system that, like you could have built a game just on the whole, altering memories thing. You could have built a game just on the combat system, but by focusing or trying to do both, the game came out not good, really. In general. Well, like it's a fine game, but they tried to do too much. They overextended. They should have just picked one thing or the other and really, spent their time on that.
John criticizing a game.
We should make a bingo card.
That's funny as hell. I've never heard of that game, so I really don't have too much of an opinion on it. But to kind of backtrack back to like the neural link and elaborate a little bit about what John was saying about like hacking the human brain, that one of the scariest things about it is like there's no way to turn it off. You know what I mean? It's not like you just unplug it and deed is done. It's scary because once if something goes wrong, it's not as easy as just saw your skull back open and take it out. You know what I mean? It's insane. It's really scary to the point where it's like if anything does happen, that's going to be a big deal. You know what I mean? You're talking about messing with people's brains and almost like a mind control type thing. And I know one of the episodes we did about our conspiracy theories, John's topic on that was Polybus or Polybus, whatever you pronounce that. Yeah, Polybius. Thank you. That was like an attempt by the government to do some kind of mind control or to whatever the exact thing was that they were trying to do, but it had something to do with screwing with people's minds, right? Well, this Neuralink takes that and extrapolates that by 10. You know what I mean? It's something that is, in my mind, could be very, very serious. And if you start hacking into people's mind, which is like crazy, I'm actually saying that. Would you ever think that anybody could hack into your mind? That's fucking insane to even say that. But just to imagine that is just crazy to me. It's really scary.
Well, not to speak on Polybius, but there is something I was obviously planning to do like a part 2 to that conspiracy theories eventually. And one of the things I was going to bring up is there's this book that's come out called Chaos. It's about basically like that's more on like I brought up MK Ultra on that podcast about how the government is like doing mind controlling experiments. It's not even really a conspiracy theory anymore. It's more a conspiracy fact. Like this is something that's actually happened. This is documented. That it's documented in our government. The government has openly admitted to this, that they've done like mind controlling things with, and they're even behind we're behind Charles Manson and the whole thing. They were even behind all that. And this is like open. This is like well documented. This isn't like no conspiracy theory. It's actual fact. And they've already tried doing that, like in the 60s, 70s. I'm sure haven't even tried stop doing it. And I'm sure the government's sitting back, smoking a cigarette, looking at Elon Musk like, yeah, baby, you go do that. Yeah, put that neural link in them.
Well, I mean, just to kind of throw this out there, I mean, who's to say there really will be a government like we have here in the next 5-10 years? Because I don't know if you guys see what's really going on politically right now, but it's a fucking disaster. A fucking disaster.
Dude, the whole 2020 is a fucking disaster. The only good thing about this year so far is aliens. That's it. The aliens come here and save us, please.
Well, before we get into our politics, there is one final thing I'd like to bring up on the whole Neuralink thing, and that is for many reasons that we've stated. Obviously, doing something like that is bad, but there's one potential thing that kind of ties actually back to the episode, and that is the effect of it on the human brain and body specifically, because the brain is somewhat plastic. Like, it actually does change over the course of your life. And okay, depending on how this Neuralink works, which I know he kind of goes over the specifications, but that can change anyway. Just sticking things in the brain is bad, and that might be uh, that might have consequences that are genuinely unforeseen, I guess.
Well, it will definitely change this. I don't think anybody would disagree there, but
Mm.
it generally, anytime like we start fucking with our bodies at all, at first it's shitty. Then we get better and then we get better. I think like when the Neuralink first comes out, it's going to be shit. I think there's going to be a lot of like bad things that like obviously happen with the people. There's going to be a lot of consequences towards it. But I think it's just going to be like the cell phone, man. I mean, like we get buy a cell phone in the 80s, you have to have a suitcase with that cell phone.
Mm.
It's like the whole thing of the cell phone's bigger than your head, and it was giving people cancer and all that kinds of stuff. Now our cell phones fit in our pocket. You could basically do anything with it. I think the Neuralink is going to be the same exact thing. Like 20 years from now, we could be looking at them like just like how we do cell phones, and it'd just be like, you don't have a cell phone, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like the same thing could be with the Neuralink, man. Like, what are you talking about when they first come out? Like, you're probably 100% on. But give it 10, 20, 30 years or whatever, and like it'd be the revolutionary. Like we could, he's even saying that Neuralink is not only going to do all this stuff with like the language and everything, but it's also going to expand human capacity of memory and like our ability to learn and all that kinds of stuff. I mean, Elon Musk could very well cure ignorance with this Neuralink. I mean, I think like I said, I'm half and half with it. Half of it scares me, the other half really intrigues me, and I think it's. But I tend to be more of a positive kind of guy when I look at these things.
I think it'll be a lot more different than the cell phones. I get your example, by the way, but I mean, this when you say trial and error, I mean, yeah, when it comes to the cell phones, there was trial and error, but think of the extent of the consequences that will come of this. I mean, if you start putting chips in people's brains and they start, like boiling in the inside like a microwave, or start start shooting people up because the computer takes over their brain, or whatever the case, people start hacking. I mean, that's a lot more serious consequences than the other. And I don't know, man. It's, to me, the reward is not worth the risk, in my opinion. A lot more about it scares me than actually like interest me and like, oh yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? I have a feeling, especially with the corruption that we already have in our system politically, and everything else that's going on right now. I think that's just adding fuel to the fire, another way for them to fuck us up the ass.
Well, we already have all that stuff anyways. Like that, all that negative stuff like you're saying about the hacking and people killing. We're gonna, no matter what happens, we're gonna have it. That's inevitable, dude. Like there's always gonna be bad things in this world, and I don't think you should shy away from technology or anything like that because bad things are gonna happen. Like if that was the case,
I'm not saying shy away from technology, but what scares me is this is a lot different than your other devices. This is something that can control you, the person. Obviously, this is all opinions and speculation at this point, but you're talking about drilling a hole in somebody's skull, and you're talking about like multiple people, and for future references in here, you're talking about an entire world, or at least a good portion of it. You're talking about you're putting a chip in someone's brain that they can use that to build an army. Just if you start thinking of the possibilities, I'm not trying to be negative because I know there is a lot of positive about it, but in the same sense, it's like, it's really scary because this is something that you, the person, will not have any control of. When you say technology, a computer, you're right. If someone wants to hack my bank account because I have my bank information on the computer, I can cancel my card, put a charge back in, throw my computer away. I still have that control. Right? You don't have control over somebody tapping into your freaking brain. That is something they can use like an iRobot type of theme there. You know what I mean? It's just, again, I'm not trying to be all negative. I'm not trying to shy away from technology. Just that portion of technology scares the living fuck out of me.
It should. That would scare anybody that has any kind of half a brain. Like I get where you're coming from, Nick. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that we need to think about like the things like that. If we didn't think about things like that, though, it's like it could be worse because we're not taking precautions to stop any of that.
I guess as the middling voice, I certainly agree with Andrew. Just because there is the potential for harm doesn't mean we should, shy away from it completely. But at the same time, I find myself more in Nick's camp that this is like this is a whole other fucking level. If we're being honest, this is like I don't mean to. I'm not a luddite or anything like that. God knows I love technology, but this is serious shit. Like this
Yeah.
is the, something like that would probably be the most I guess basically the greatest technological advancement in terms of human and technology integration. Because after we get to that point, then full mechanical bodies or shit like that is really just something that becomes in the wings.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know, like
absolutely.
just like aliens.
Take a drink.
Oh, it's a,
That's funny.
hmm.
But yeah, it's just again, to me, and this is just my opinion. Again, there's a lot of great about it. I mean, from what I read about the Neuralink, I mean, it can possibly cure like blindness. It can possibly cure like any kind of eyesight or memory problems, dementia problems, and shit like that that involves the brain, like brain Alzheimer's, exactly. So there is great potential for what it can do. It's just you're putting it into human hands, and well, we're power hungry, man. Human nature. We're all power hungry. You know what I mean? So that's what scares me the most. It's human nature that scares me the most, not the actual device or what it does or what it's capable of to that degree. I guess that is kind of scares me what it's capable of, but it's not the device part of it. It's the human nature aspect to it. That's
I get it.
saying.
I get it. You guys are worried about Skynet. Like I get it. Hey, yeah, me too, man. I'm scared shitless of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm not scared about like zombies taking over the world or anything like that. I'm more scared about like that Skynet kind of thing, man. Like you see like the funny memes on the like social media all the time where like it would be like MIT professors create like AI and teach it sadness or some shit like that, and some dude pops up and he's like, "What the fuck are y'all doing? Like, y'all gonna kill us all."
Yeah, I mean that's basically what it comes down to, man. It's really scary to me. That's for sure. Technology, it's a freaking amazing thing, man. It's an amazing thing. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that moves us to our third episode of review on it's our political factioning one and one about tribalism. Is there anything on that episode you guys wish we'd have dived into a little bit more?
John,
John, why don't you answer to give Nick time to think?
Fuck you! I went first like 2 or 3 times already.
No, you.
That
passed
is
the
true.
book
That
every
is
time.
true.
But as far as anything to cover deeper, cover more or more in depth, I wouldn't say there was any one aspect. Like the whole reason I picked that topic was because it was meant to be, I guess, kind of a precautionary lesson. Like the main theme of that was don't just vote one way or do something because the group is doing it. Think about it, think critically. um, don't make people the other. Like that's one thing we said, is that you can disagree with someone without them being your enemy. uh, and I do want to just reinforce that whole little aspect of that's it. You can disagree with someone without them being your enemy. And honestly,
Yeah.
if you consider them an enemy, you should listen to what they have to say, because that's it. You get it or gain information on them. And
Yeah, I agree.
just because it doesn't come from your camp, either politically or what the fuck ever, doesn't mean it's a bad idea.
Yeah. To elaborate a little bit more on that, there is one thing I really want to say, and that is fuck Donald Trump and fuck Joe Biden. Fuck them two cocksuckers, okay? Can't stand either one of them, honestly. But with that being said, there really isn't nothing that I wish we would have brought up more. I mean, I think we pretty much stated our opinions on the matter to that degree. But the election is coming up here pretty quickly. There's a lot of a lot of theories out there, and corruption, and there's a lot of things going out there that is said about both political parties that is pretty serious to even want to consider them in regards to the president of the United States. And we said it the last time we talked about this: vote independent for independence.
Yes,
You heard it here first.
Oh, for real, man. I couldn't agree more with both you guys on every single word that you guys said. Like, even down to fuck Donald Trump and fuck out Joe Biden. Amen.
Yep.
For real though, man. I agree with everything you guys said. Like what John was saying that you could disagree with people and not like hate them and have them to be your enemy. Like we do it practically every single episode of JNA. Like we have disagreements on here all the time. We don't always see eye to eye, but it doesn't mean that we're going at each other's throats and about to like all three of us basically have like our own like little aspects. So like we're all kind of like centrist, but like Nick kind of leads more a little bit more to the right. John kind of leads more a bit more to the left. I kind of like flick off both sides. You know, you know what I mean? Like everybody's got their own opinions and stuff, and like it doesn't mean that you need to like go at each other with like pitchforks and torches and everything just because you have a minor disagreement. Like I mean, basically when it all stems down to it, man, like we all really do believe in the same thing. We all believe in freedom. We all believe in like freedom of speech and freedom of choice, and like people that should be free, and all men and women are created equally, or non-transgender, or what the fuck ever you ever want to be called. But we all agree that we all should be free. I mean, like when it comes down to it, like it's just like the finer details that we tend to disagree on, and we do really need to kill each other over the finer details, you know?
No, you don't. But unfortunately, you have your extremists, and they don't budge, man. I mean, unfortunately I've been seeing this so much more lately on social media and pretty much everywhere else, and just hearing stories from other people's experiences. Like when it comes to this mask thing, I mean, I was in this Wawa the other day, the gas station. And this was when I was, at working, and I went to get lunch, and Wawa requires you to have a mask on when you enter their store. So this guy walks in right behind me without a mask, and they asked me to put on a mask because I forgot mine. I said, yeah, no problem. I went back up, got mine, came back in. So we're in line, and they ask him again, I guess. I would assume they asked him again, but they asked him again, hey, you need to put a mask on or you can't be in here. He's like, I got COPD and some other medical condition. I can't remember what he said, but he made a big, I mean, he was like not screaming, but like making a very big deal about wearing a freaking mask in a store. It's like, dude, is it really that big of a deal? Is it really changing your life to wear a mask because there's a freaking pandemic going on in the world right now? It's just like people like that, just like, and I see this more and more to more of an extreme too, by the way. It's like, man, people are just crazy, man. It's like, the extremist out there is like ridiculous. Like it's more and more now. It's like, at first I thought, okay, there's only a select few, people that are like that, and you're gonna have it. It is what it is. But it's like growing and growing astronomically. It's getting pretty freaking surreal out there, man. It really is. And it's just, it's mind-boggling to me, man. It's just like, the simple things that we're asking in this, and people that I talk to agree with, just take proper procedure for it, man. Stay away from each other. Don't go in groups. Don't, the mask thing. I know there's theories about that in regards to does it work, and I know it's like scientifically proven that they don't work. I get that. Don't get me wrong, but if you walk into my house with your shoes on and I tell you to take off your shoes and you tell me to fuck off, I'm sorry, you're going out of my house. You're not coming in. So that's the way I kind of look at that. I mean, it's something so simple. When you go into someone's store, somebody owns that facility. And if they have those kind of rules on there, which you may think it's, stupid, or I know some people think it's infringing on your rights. It's like, no, you're in somebody's property. And whether the government made them do it or not, it's still the point of you're on somebody else's property. And if they tell you they want to act, they want you to act a certain way or do something a certain way, I'm sorry, but you have to give in. You know what I mean? Especially, you can argue about that. You can not like it. I totally understand. I'm not saying I like doing it, because half the stores I go into, I don't even wear a mask, and I'll take it to the limit of them asking me to put one on. It's not that I even forget. I just don't want to wear it. So I get it. But as soon as they ask me to put it on, I go do it. So it just gets to the point of, man, there's just too much bullshit. It seems like everybody's looking for any little thing to strike, to just to kind of like start an argument, start a fight with somebody. And it's like, this is a pandemic going on. We should all be coming together. We're not. We're actually fighting against each other. We're dividing. Everybody's dividing into their own certain groups, and it's ridiculous. That's just my opinion.
That's a good point, Nick.
I would ask your indulgence for a moment to get on my soapbox, because something you said, Nick, about masks being quote unquote scientifically proven to not work is complete bullshit. And I would like to just have a moment on a soapbox to talk about masks in general. Okay,
Shoot.
first, people don't understand what the purpose of the mask really is. It's not to protect you, it's to protect other people from you. And if everybody wears a mask, then everybody is protected. Point the first. One, people are like, oh, the weave in the mask, just like the little fabric surgical masks. Oh, if you can see the weave, then, it's not effective at stopping the virus. First, bullshit. You're not just, expelling clouds of just the virus. What it is that the mask catches all of your spit and shit like that, so that way it doesn't end up on other people and the virus doesn't get into them, and that way they don't get sick. So it's not about protecting yourself by wearing a mask, it's about protecting other people. And if everybody wears a mask, then everybody's protected. That's the same way vaccines work. And I realize, that's mentioning vaccines is going to create a whole different shit show, but we're not talking about that right now. Wear a fucking mask, please. Point the second.
Also, wash your damn hands.
Wash your damn hands, wear a mask. So, practice social distancing. But point the second is simply, why is this a political issue? It's not a political issue. You're not having your rights infringed just because, somebody asks you to cover your goddamn mouth. Okay? It's proper etiquette when you sneeze to sneeze into your hand, but don't do that. The more sanitary thing is to sneeze into your elbow. If you cough, cover your mouth. If you sneeze, cover your mouth. This is just basic fucking etiquette. Why are you getting so torn, or not you guys specifically, but why are people getting so torn up about just covering your fucking face when you go into a public place? I mean, it's not that hard. You have to wear it for like 30 minutes to an hour if you go into a store or something. Stop being a fucking pussy. All right, we got people, healthcare workers or, fast food workers, store workers, you fucking name it, who have to wear the shit for, an entire goddamn shift. Stop being a pussy and wear the fucking mask. Point the third. There are a lot of there's a lot of bullshit going around about, oh, a mask inhibits your immune system, this, that, and the third. Fucking no. Okay? The reason COVID-19, the coronavirus, is such a big deal is because we don't have, or our immune systems don't have any training when it comes to dealing with it. That's why it's called a novel or new virus. And it's not going to matter what state your immune system is, or the only thing the state of your immune system is going to affect is your likelihood of dying. Wearing a mask does not weaken your immune system. It does not affect your oxygen saturation. And unless you fall into the very narrow categories of, you have some sort of breathing dysfunction, or you have, severe claustrophobia or something like that. Also, children below the age of 5 are exempt from wearing masks, at least here in Michigan. If you have one of those 3 conditions, okay, I get it. You can't wear a mask. And what I would recommend is actually wear a face shield, because it's, you're still covering your mouth. It's not restricting potential airflow. And yes, I realize you're going to have to bolt something to your fucking head, but again, I refer to my previous argument of get over it, you pussy. So, I will now.
Well, John,
I will now.
Thank you for going on that tangent.
I will now descend from the soapbox with this final message: wear a mask, wash your fucking hands, practice social distancing. Thank you for listening.
Hey, I do know one thing for sure is that I've been practicing social distancing before it became cool.
Yep. It's almost like we're
y'all are just catching up.
Let me say something about what you were saying about the mask, John, in particular. I guess you're right. When it comes to scientific, I may have misspoke. But first of all, we all misuse the masks. I want to riddle me this, okay? When you go to the hospital and the nurse or doctor comes in, they put their gloves on, they put their mask on, right? Especially if you have some kind of disease, right? What do they do when they walk out of your room? They take the gloves off. They throw it away, right? everybody, I mean, how many masks do you have that you wear on an everyday basis? Probably just one or two, right? So
Right.
riddle me this. You
Hmm.
cough into it, you breathe into it, you take it off, you throw it in your car, you throw it in your house, you're touching it, you're putting it back on your face,
Hmm.
you're going to the store, you're touching potatoes, you're touching whatever, right?
Hmm.
All it's doing is transmitting it onto something else. So nobody is using the mask properly. To agree, I do agree with what you're saying about it's to protect you, not necessarily me, right?
Hmm.
I do 100% understand that if it's used properly, but nobody's using it properly. Nobody is.
To counter your point there, what it is how often are you touching the inside of the mask? And if you obviously part of the whole sanitation thing is don't touch your face if you're, just took the mask off or something or like that. And that was kind of one thing that was going around in general was, wash your hands, don't touch your face. As long as you are not coming in or touching the inside of the mask with your hands, uh, you're fine. And also, uh, the reason they're disposed of in a hospital setting is because those doctors, technicians, so on and so forth, they are engaging with multiple patients. It's not just, you or just you. So, in order to prevent cross contamination from one patient to the next, they replace their PPE so that way that every time they're coming into the room, they're quote unquote clean.
But it's the same concept as what we're referring to, though, is what I'm saying.
Uh,
It's the same concept. When you say they don't want to cross contaminate, think about the same thing what we're talking about. If I'm using the same mask,
mhm,
or if I change that mask, I'm going still out in public with different individuals. So I don't want to cross contaminate by using the same protective gear, right? Now, to kind of elaborate on, yes, you're right. You should not touch the inside of your mask. But
mhm.
let's face it, do you, and you may, I don't know, I know you're probably a stickler about that, but I'm guilty of it, as I'm sure many other people are. I do touch my all around my mask. When I go in the car, I just throw it on the damn seat and move on. You know what I mean? And when I go to put it on, I grab it, I just put it on. I don't necessarily think, and this comes from lack of experience of using them, or I mean, even thinking about that type of thing. It's just out of the norm, if you will.
Mm.
But I just kind of grab the mask and put it on. So I would assume that if I feel that way, I would assume that there's many other people that are doing the same thing. So I don't think in a perfect world, you're right, that would work in a perfect fucking world. But this is not a far from perfect world. So I just I
I
don't
agree.
see it being that much of a difference. Although even the slightest amount is still a good thing. So yes, use the proper precaution. But my point was on people that think that they're being forced to use the mask and
Uh,
infringing on their rights. It's like, shut the fuck up, man. Again, I look at it as you come in my house and I tell you to take your shoes off and you tell me no. Well, you're going outside. See you later. That's the
mm,
kind of the way I look at it. You're not going to sit there and tell me what you're going to do in my house or my business or my facility. That's just not the way that works. You know what I mean?
right. And
I'll take
That's
off
what
my shoes and then go outside. Fuck the
I
system.
just to follow up on that for for the purpose of education, here is the appropriate thing you should do. One thing just to clear up is that the virus cannot survive outside of the human body for very long. Um, it depends on what it lands on, but typically the fabric on the inside of the mask is hypoallergenic. So unless you're, like say you have to go shopping at like five different stores and you go into one, put the mask on, or do your shopping, take it off, grab it, where the fuck ever, when you go into the next one, repeat, repeat, repeat. um, that's obviously doing it wrong. But for just general use, like let's say, okay, you go grocery shopping and then you don't have to go to the store again for a couple of days. The mask just sitting in your car, the virus is going to die just from lack of, not being a human body. Um, but to get, I guess, more what I was getting at, here is the proper thing you should do if you are only, or if you only have, like one or two masks or whatnot. Okay, you put it on, you go do your business. When you get out, what you do is you take it off, you fold it closed to where the insides are touching, and then put it in the glove box, hang it from the rear view mirror, just do something with it. Uh, preferably keep it, somewhere like on the dash or something where it's exposed to sunlight, which will help accelerate, just the virus naturally dying off. But you want to limit contact with the inside, or you want to limit contact with the mask in general. So that's it. Just grab it by the corners, fold it closed, stash it somewhere.
Agreed.
I've heard from a couple of different experts on this actually that they're starting to find out that sunlight kills it instantaneously, which is
Yeah.
kind of ironic because they've been doing nothing but keeping us inside. So
Did you guys hear Donald Trump say, "Can we ingest UV rays?"
Hey.
yeah. Dude, I swear to God, like that's one of my favorite things to do in the morning. It's just like, hey man, let me jump on Twitter and we see what ridiculous fucking thing this guy has said. I choose to be optimistic, man. Silver linings. The guy cracks me up. Like I don't know. I think he's hilarious.
I would contend that the president of the United States should not be the United States premier entertainer.
Well, that's what he is, isn't he? He's a billionaire TV star.
Yeah, that's what people voted for, I guess.
That's what he is, man. Like, I don't know if you guys ever watched this show, but there's a show on Comedy Central called "This Is Not Happening." It's basically like it's just like a short little stand-up bits. But we all know, you guys know who Tom Green is, right?
Mhm.
No, Tom Green. Yeah, Freddie Got Finger, Tom Green. Yeah, he had like a 10-minute spit on that. This Is Not Happening about how he was on the Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's so funny. It's like, I didn't know Tom Green's stand-up was that hilarious, man. But I swear to God, that was the funniest 10 minutes of Tom Green's career. He's talking about how you guys don't know the president like I do, and like all his experience on the Celebrity Apprentice. By the time I'm done with that 10-minute bit about that, I'm just like, man, this guy should have never been in the Oval Office.
That's true.
Yeah, he pretty much got famous off of saying "you're fired." I mean, though he was kind of famous before that, for being rich, but like that's when he became like the mega star that he was. This is "you're fired."
Yeah.
Same thing. It was right around the same time that Paris Hilton got famous for saying "you're hot."
Donald Trump's been famous for a pretty long time because of the hotels and casinos, and he actually owned an airline and golf courses. So he's to say that he's been that famous to what you're talking about, obviously not until he went on The Apprentice, but he was still very famous before he actually went on TV, though. He really was.
I would like to point out the fact that his fame really kind of grew when meme culture started becoming a thing. So you heard it here first, boys and girls. The president is a meme.
Dude, I'm waiting for him to be on like the stage one day, it's giving like a breakdown of the coronavirus, and him just taking off a mask and being like, "I'm really an alien." I'm like, that's the way they do it. It's 2020, and anything can happen, right?
Take a drink.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was on social media, Facebook. I don't have Twitter or Snapchat or anything like that. But I was on Facebook. This was like a week ago, I think it was, not even. And I seen this this post from somebody reviewed 2020 in a nutshell. I mean, they went through from January till now, like Kobe Bryant died, the Pentagon released the existence of UFOs, the pandemic, the killer hornets, the Black Lives Matter movement. And they just kept going on and on about what the hell this world's been through. And when you look at it on a list like that, it is fucking mind-blowing. It's like, holy shit. It's only been 7 months into this year, a little over 7 months, almost 7 months into this year. And it's like, holy shit, what more can you pack in to 1 year?
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Dude, the fires in the Amazon in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, dude, so much shit. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff I'm forgetting, but that's just crazy, man. It's nuts,
Space
man,
Force.
when you look at it like that. Yeah.
There's just so much has been happening this year that I think there's so much things that have been forgotten.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When you look at it on the list, like, in order, how it's just transpired since the beginning of the year, it's like, really? Like, all this shit happened in 6.5 months? Like, holy hell. It's
It
like,
has
what
been.
else can you give me?
I want to start my own little conspiracy theory right here. The government is making all this stuff happen just so they can come out with alien shit and nobody will flinch. They've made this crazy ass year just so they can like openly come out with alien shit and then not be worldwide head news.
Mm,
I don't know if I agree with that, but okay.
Hey man, let
I'll
me
let that
start
ride.
my own conspiracy theory. Nick, don't crush my dreams.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna let it ride.
yeah, we'll just we'll let that rock.
Yeah, make sure we copyright this podcast so nobody steals my shit.
Like that.
If this ever comes up in the future, believe me, I think we'll remember this episode.
Yep. We'll all just kind of be like, "Fucking Andrew, he had it. He knew it."
Yeah. Yep.
Fuck.
We'll be podcasting
Really, all
from the inside of a fucking bunker.
Really, no, for real though. But really, all it is some kid got on the computer that's running the simulation. That's all it is. That's all it's happening. That's like remember Oregon Trail? Like it's just a kid playing Oregon Trail. That's all 2020 is.
Oh God,
I'm
that's fucking a magically accurate description.
gonna make that a meme.
I forgot to include the Epstein bullshit with all the
Yeah, that's it. Like there's just so much of it, man. It's so easy to forget things.
That's what I'm saying. There's just like the list was very extensive, and it was like it wasn't a small list. It's not like there's 3 or 4 things on there. I mean, it was a fucking paragraph of shit. You know what I mean? It was.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. This year has like just truly been fucked.
I like how Nick does that. It leaves out like basically describes a whole bunch of paragraph stuff, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Epstein didn't kill himself."
That's funny.
For real. Yeah, you guys hear that they end up getting this assistant?
Yeah, there's actually some article I read, and I don't know how true it is or not, but the Maxwell chick, his assistant that you're referring to, there was a submarine base underneath the island of the Epstein Island, and what they're doing is there's an
Sorry.
well, she had some kind of affiliation. Like she either owned it or her family owned it, something affiliated with that submarine base. Well, there's another island, like within sight on that one. Like it's whatever amount of miles away from that island. But there's another island with a similar submarine base that is affiliated with her as well. And that island supposedly, again, everybody that's listening, this is just an article. This is not something I've researched in depth. This is not something that I've confirmed. This is just an article I read. But supposedly, the other island is affiliated with Joe Biden. Joe Biden would frequent that other island like multiple times. Again, I say supposedly, not saying any of it's true because I seen the article. I one of my buddies on Facebook that's like real big in corruption of politics. So he posts all kind of shit online in regards to Trump, Biden, everybody else. But I just read one of those articles and it was interesting. Like a submarine base that's affiliated with her. There's another island that's the same thing. It's a coincidence? I think not.
I don't know. That kind of sounds like clickbait stuff, but at the same time, like the pedophile island exists. So who am I to say that's wrong?
No. It wasn't an article. It wasn't an article like you're thinking on Facebook, where it's just got a headline that says this, and then you click on it, it's a bunch of bullshit. This was an article he posted from another source, from another site. I'll show you the article. He's on my Facebook, by the way. This is an article that he found on a different site that he like screenshot and put up on Facebook, type thing. Again,
like I said,
it very could be. It very could be. I don't know, but I just thought that was interesting, by the way.
Hey man, we already said it's 2020. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think it's only a matter of time before she gets suicided.
Yeah.
Basically, she's going to be on suicide watch. The cameras are going to stop working, and she's going to hang herself with a pair of pantyhose.
Yeah, all guards are going to be on break at the time, or in the middle of a change of shift, whatever it is.
Shift change. Now,
we're going to see Bill Clinton on the news again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That's funny.
No.
Bill Clinton like cracks me up, man. Like every single time, like he's getting so old, you could tell he's pumped full of soul medication, and like you could just see like he'd be sitting at like watching some girl sing the national anthem, and he's just like staring at her ass, and like he's not looking anywhere else but directly at her ass for like 5 minutes straight. Bill Clinton's like that old little pervy fucking old man you guys always used to know in like the old neighborhoods and shit like that. Craig. He reminds me of like Joe Biden actually reminds me of that fucking that pedophile on Family Guy. Where's his name?
God. Oh my God. That's too funny. Absolutely.
I've seen
That's like the way he be sniffing hair and shit.
That's too funny.
I wish I could do that guy's voice, but I can't do it with any justice.
I was gonna try, but I don't think I can do it either. I don't want to embarrass myself, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Right, this podcast is gonna go public. I ain't gonna do that.
I was sitting there, as someone who does voices, I'm sitting there kind of trying to like figure out a midway point between that pedophile's voice and Bill Clinton's, and like all I got is look out here, little girl. His voice, or the pedophile voice, but with Clinton's diction. But enough of
hey, just a deep ass inhale, like, ooh, is that some new conditioner?
Oh, is that some new conditioner?
Yeah. That herbal essence?
Oh.
Oh man, we're going to hell.
Yep.
First class ticket.
Speaking of things going to hell, there's a question that I would like to pose to the two of you. Excuse me. Right now, the political situation here in America, I believe it's anywhere from 40 to 70% of Americans believe that, one, that we are in kind of a cultural or political Cold War, and two, that like 30 to 50% of Americans believe that America will have a civil war sometime within the next 5 to 10 years. So, what are your guys' opinions on that?
It's 2020. Anything can happen. No, I don't know, man. I tend to be like a more of an optimistic person, man. I know that people are at each other's throats right now. I think at the end of the day that we all pretty much agree that we want to be a free country. Even though we're trying to kind of going in the wrong direction of that. I hope not. You know what I mean? Because I live in the South right now, and I would be fighting for the North, so I'd be kind of fucked.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think we could have. I don't think this isn't like 1850 anymore, man. I don't think we could have a civil war. I think that the way technology is just we're too far advanced. You know what I mean? Like how would that even work out? I mean, what is Michigan going to be bombing Tennessee with drones? You know what I mean? Like I don't understand how that would necessarily work out. Like I could see more or less like Texas becoming its own country or some shit like that. Like just because Texas is a bunch of crazy fuckers. But I don't know. I guess I'm just an optimistic person. I think that will eventually come around. When shit tends to get bad, we tend to come together a little bit more. At the beginning of this pandemic, we were coming together until all the conspiracy theories started coming out and everything like that. And then of course the things with George Floyd. We're going at each other's throats now. But hey, man, you never know. Next week, like they could bring out the alien shit, and then people are gonna be like, all right, never mind. Fuck the racist bullshit, man. There was aliens out there. You know what I mean? Like all humans, one thing. You're gonna be like Star Trek.
So, let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second, because what I'm about to say may seem a little out there.
Aaron, Nick, you can take mine.
Exactly. But I think we're already on the brink of it, dude. I don't think you say 5 years, I say 2. I really mean, from the defund the police. I'm going to kind of break this down so you kind of understand my perspective on this. The defunding the police. Seattle's a good example. Minnesota, Chicago right now. I mean, it's like it's pretty bad in those areas. And this is just like the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, because, I mean, the citizens are literally destroying shit and killing people, and getting away with it is a big deal. Like, it's crazy. I mean, they're literally getting caught on camera or video, and they're literally not going to jail for fucking shooting up a store or, stealing or doing all this. So it's like, this is going to be a trickle effect, in my opinion. Like, people are now starting to realize, you know what, we can kind of overthrow the government. And because of everything that's going on, the pandemic, the corruption, and everything else that's kind of snowballed this year, I think people are just sick of this shit, especially with the racism. I mean, and I don't know how much you guys see on Facebook or social media or the news in regards to them tearing down statues, and there's big crowds of people protecting the others that are trying to tear it down, and people are screaming, "Don't tear it down." I mean, I don't think we're that far away from some kind of war like that, especially against the government. I really don't. And I think to kind of go or elaborate a little bit more on what Andrew was saying about the government coming out with the aliens, I think that's just more of the fuel to the fire type thing. People are going to be like, "Oh yeah, you fucks, you've known this shit for years, now you're coming out with it." So it's like just adding fuel to the fire, in my opinion, when it comes to your question about, do we think we're on brink of civil war or just war in general. I think that in the very near future here, I really think that there's going to be some kind of big kind of like this war in general between our country, because of just everything that's been going on. Especially, there's a lot of this, a lot of people are getting a little, rambunctious over this mail-in voting thing. Like, there's extremists about that too. I mean, right now this country's on edge, and it just needs a little kick in the ass to fucking really ignite it. And I don't think we're far away from it at all whatsoever. I mean, they're trying to take your guns away from you, from things that I read, the Democratic Party, or limit you or whatnot. I mean, it's everything is just pointing in one direction, and to me, that direction is people are getting fed up with how the government is running things, and it's only a matter of time. Especially with how it's kind of going down now with, in Seattle and these other pretty major cities are kind of like testing those waters. They're seeing for themselves that if they really want to take over, it's not as, I'm not going to say hard as they thought, but it's not, it's not impossible. You know what I mean? So that's just that. I totally on the other side of the fence with Andrew. I want to be optimistic too, by the way. I would hope that, everybody would kind of put all this aside and, let's all come together. Let's, kind of rise up from all this. But I just honestly don't think that we're going to. I think that too many people are pissed off for too long for it to come back. That's just my opinion.
There could be like a huge fix to this entire system, and make just like a one solution fits all kind of thing. Just get rid of the racist bastards. I ought to fix it.
Yep. Well, a lot of that's politics.
Yeah. Go back to Europe, pale face.
Oh, jeez. What about you, John? To answer your own question, what do you think?
I'm with Andrew. I guess that's a kind of a middle response. I am with Andrew in that, I hope we don't get to, full blown out civil war or anything. But by the same token, there's tensions are absolutely probably the highest they've been, at least as long as I've been alive, or at least as long as I've been politically aware. And we're already getting some violence with the Black Lives Matter protests and potentially, allegedly shady things that the government has been doing in terms of officers with unmarked or not wearing marked uniforms in unmarked vans pulling people off the street. Save that for conspiracy theories. But there's America's, I think, definitely, say within the next 5 years, going to have some kind of reckoning, just in terms of, left versus right wing ideologies, or the people versus the government. The simple fact of the matter is that tensions are high. And like you said, Nick, all we need is probably one good kick in the ass and things are going to go off. And I can sit here and hope and pray. Well, I'm not a praying man, but I can sit here and hope that it's not violent and that there's not going to be uh, you know a whole lot of bloodshed, but at the same time, the conditions are right, man. Like, and America's been around for so long, every empire falls, and hopefully we go the way of Rome that didn't, just utterly collapse, but, managed to keep kicking in some form or another. But yeah, it's just, we live in interesting times.
Definitely. Definitely.
Any
And,
final thoughts on? I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
oh, go for it.
All right. Any final thoughts on all that, Nick, or this podcast in general?
The only thing I would say is, like John was saying about agreeing with you, Andrew, about, hoping. I mean, I think we all are on the same page. I think everybody in the country would hopefully feel the same way in regards to, hoping that doesn't happen, and hope that people kind of come together and we find a solution that fits everybody. And, I think we all hope that deep down. I really do. At least I hope they do. I know I do. But I mean, like John said, I mean, there's just a lot of tension right now. There's a lot of things going on. It's the likelihoodness of that happening is, in my opinion, slim to none. Again, I'm wearing my tinfoil hat for everybody. I believe in the next couple of years with it, especially, and here's another point about that, the election coming up, I think that whether Trump wins or Biden wins, that's going to be another kick in the ass to get things jump-started again.
Yeah.
Because there's the extremists that don't want Trump president no more. Obviously, everybody knows that. And there's some, a lot of shit going around about Biden, and there's extremists about not wanting him president. Those are the two candidates. Either one of them two are going to be president. So I think that's, that might be a little kick in the ass right there. I don't know if that's enough, but, that's just, again, just adding fuel to the fire. Adding fuel to the fire. So that's all I had.
Time will tell. And speaking of time, I reckon it's high time we wrap this episode of the JNA Podcast up. Thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe on the video. Leave us a comment. Check us out on the other social media platforms. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram. Again, thank you all for listening, and drop us a comment if there's something you'd like us to talk about, or if you've got any suggestion for future podcast episodes. Take a drink. Please just let us know. We love to engage with our audience, and I guess the last thing I got is be kind to one another, because this is all we got.
Peace out. Peace out, y'all.
Aliens.
Peace, aliens.
Cut.